Now I know I've made a lot of videos about Neymar as of late, however this time I have no choice because inside this box I have his first ever signature football boots with the Puma brand, and honestly I'm excited that you're excited, that we're all excited about a pair of football boots that I've been very excited about since they came out almost a year and a half ago. And of course I'm talking about the Puma King Platinum that, as you can see, now features Neymar's logo plastered all over it. It's very exciting, I know. And to be fair, these technically aren't Neymar's first signature boots from Puma, because the first ones that he initially wore had a solid white form stripe. Those never went for sale, although Puma did make a couple pairs and gave them away as kind of a promotional item. However, the first Neymar signature boot from the Puma brand to actually be available to the public is what I'm holding here in my hands, and as you'd expect, they're already sold out. And to the haters running to the comment section to tell me I was wrong, Neymar wearing the Puma King was a brilliant idea, you have to keep in mind that this initial release was extremely limited. Puma never gave any official numbers, but based on what was out there and the retailers that I've spoken to, I'm gonna guess that there are less than 1,000 pairs of these, which is why they sold out so quickly. So with all of that in mind, in this video we're gonna take a closer look at his first signature Puma King Platinums. I'm going to re-review this football boot because there's a lot more interest in this boot now than there was when it came out back a year and a half ago, and basically determine where the Puma King Platinum sits in the current ecosystem of top-end football boots, where this kind of goes against the trend of what's been popular basically over the last decade. So if you want to learn more about them, including how they fit and feel on feet, please stick around, watch the entire review, and if you're interested in a pair for yourself, they are unfortunately sold out, but if I can find any left for sale, I'll leave the first link down below or a little pop-up in the corner of the screen. That's going to take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes for other colorways of the Puma King Platinum at the very least, where you'll be able to pick them up below their normal $200 retail price. If you guys do end up enjoying this video and want to see continued coverage of Puma football boots, because they've been releasing a ton of them lately, make sure you support this one with a like. And if you are new here watching for the first time and don't want to miss out on weekly content on everything football boots, make sure you hit that subscribe button. As far as extras go, they haven't done anything special considering that this is a Neymar signature, which is a little bit disappointing, but you still get more with these than you get with other Puma top-end football boots. It does come in a gray and black Puma box with a sticker on the lid that says Return of the King. Open up the box and they include this little card, which I'm a big fan of. You can see it has a picture of the OG colorway, which is basically this without the Neymar logos. It says Return of the King, and then on the back side you kind of get this concept sketch going over all the different kind of tech specs of the football boots. This is something that was very common with top-end football boots in kind of like the early 2000s. I really like the inclusion of this. It's kind of an old school element. And again, it's a little extra that you don't really see that often anymore. And they also include a string bag, which unfortunately does not have the new Neymar logo. That would have been cool to see, but it's the normal Puma King Platinum string bag, which is this really thick black mesh. It's twice the thickness of the bags you get from Adidas. It does have the pocket on the inside, like the Nike bags as well. Black strings, white Puma logo there on the front. It's an okay string bag. It gets a rating of Nay out of Neymar. As for the boots themselves, what you're currently looking at is the Puma King Platinum that launched a year and a half ago. All black in color with a black chrome sole plate, Puma King branding there on the tongue, a Puma logo on the back, but for the most part they've kept things very, very simple, and there wasn't a lot of hype around this boot. People that are into leather boots like myself were obviously excited, but the masses more or less viewed this as a plain leather football boot that they didn't care that much about. Fast forward to a year and a half later, and Puma have effectively re-released the exact same colorway, black leather upper, black laces, King logo on the front, Puma logo on the back, black chrome sole plate, but they made a form stripe out of Neymar logos and then of course printed a larger Neymar logo on the medial side. Other than that, this is nothing that we haven't seen before. As for the technical side of things, unlike most modern football boots, the tech specs are about as simple as it gets for the King Platinum. The upper is made out of leather, specifically kangaroo leather, which, as the name would suggest, is the skin of a kangaroo. It always surprises me when people don't actually realize that. Now, over the last 20 years, I think it's fair to say that what has been the driving force in regards to the potential for popularity of a football boot has been technology. This idea that high tech is better has more or less been I guess, the goal of sports marketing in terms of brainwashing the average consumer into believing that this is something that you absolutely need if you want to perform at your best. And because all of the professional players have adopted this style of football boot, it's no longer this wild and crazy concept that they need to convince you of. It's just the norm. And what's kind of weird about what Puma is doing with Neymar wearing the King and promoting the King is that they are trying to change the trend, kind of going in the opposite direction, where the King Platinum isn't a super high-tech complex football boot. It's a very simple leather boot with very minimal, I guess, technology advancements. Which, to be clear, is not a bad thing, because as I've been saying on this channel basically for the last decade, simple isn't always bad. The breakdown of the King Platinum is as follows. From this seam at the back of the heel on the lateral side, all the way through the midfoot, forefoot, and toe box area, wrapping around all the way to this seam right here, that is entirely made out of super thin, really soft kangaroo leather. You'll notice that it doesn't have really any stitching as a reinforcement element, which is kind of an old school leather boot thing. Instead, it does have a full nylon liner, which does add some significant structure without adding much bulk and taking away from the softness or feel of the leather. It does have an internal structure through the forefoot and toe box area, which again prevents this boot from overstretching and just feeling sloppy in the toe box area. And it does have a little strip of leather kind of as a cutout running through the medial side of the foot. Again, just to prevent the upper from overstretching. It adds a little bit of structure and makes the boot more responsive than it otherwise would have been. The heel area is made from a synthetic leather, mainly because it's a little bit lighter that way, and it obviously adds some structure in a place where you definitely need it. This being leather makes no difference. That was a good choice by them. And then I guess the modern element that you're going to find on the King Platinum is the incorporation of a one-piece design, where instead of a standard tongue, they've opted for something fairly modern in the form of an elasticated knit material that actually works really well. This allows them to implement a dual lace hole system as well, which I think actually works really nicely with this particular design, making the lockdown and responsiveness better than it otherwise would have been. And the overall silhouette of the boot, the side profile, is very, very modern. It doesn't have the typical kind of chunkier look that a lot of leather football boots have. Moving to the rear, you'll find that the boot does maintain a standard low-cut design with a little bit of a squared off back as a nod to classic Puma King models, which I actually quite like the look of. Internally, the heel liner is a synthetic leather. Personally, I would have loved for this to have been some kind of synthetic suede. I just prefer that as a heel liner material, but this definitely gets the job done and does have a decent amount of padding as well, making for good lockdown as well as comfort at the back of your heel. Then the insole, that is also fully removable, features no Neymar specific branding. Instead, it's just this soft kind of mesh liner material made from a single layer of black foam, pretty much as standard as insoles get. And then when it comes to base, you're going to find that the sole plate is directly attached to an external heel counter. Both the sole plate and stud pattern are taken directly from the now discontinued Puma 1 line, which kind of goes to show where Puma was at when it came to launching the King Platinum, because obviously they wanted to make a splash in the return of the King, because prior to the King Platinum, the series was dead entirely for a couple of years, but they didn't even spend the money to develop their own sole plate and stud pattern. They just took it from a pre-existing model, but it has worked out quite nicely, because this sole plate in general is fairly speed boot-esque in terms of giving you this little bit of a springback effect, but it still has nice flexibility and I think matches the modern interpretation of a classic leather football boot that they've done with the upper. Everything flows really nicely. It doesn't feel like the upper and sole plate are maybe poorly mismatched or something like that. And then the stud pattern, it is technically FG-AG, although I definitely think that the studs are a little bit on the long side for use on artificial grass surfaces. But if you want to use it on AG, you absolutely can go and do that. But in terms of aggression, you'll notice that it's a combination of round as well as bladed studs. But the round studs are quite long and also fairly narrow in profile, which means that they dig in more aggressively than you'd expect a conical stud pattern to, I guess, necessarily provide in terms of overall traction. So again, very speed boot-esque in terms of its performance characteristics, but still that freedom to twist and pivot because of the rounded studs. And then when it comes to weight, we've kind of been brainwashed to believe that leather boots are always going to be way heavier than knits or synthetics, when that's not actually the case with the King Platinum. In a size 9.5 US, you can see that the boots weigh in at 7.6 ounces, the equivalent of 216 grams, which is pretty much on par with other top-end models that you're going to find from not just Puma, but other brands in general. Of course, if you want the lightest boot from the Puma brand, their speed boot in the form of the Ultra 1.1 is significantly lighter. And I guess in comparison to the Mercurials that Neymar previously wore leading up to the King Platinum, those are a little bit lighter as well. But considering that this is a full leather upper, they do feel quite light on feet. And it also must be said, because this has become pretty common for Neymar throughout his entire career, is that the boots that he actually wears aren't exactly the same as the ones that Puma actually sells. It's pretty much the same upper based on how it looks. I'm sure it's formed to the exact shape of his foot, so on a custom last like a lot of pros will get, but you'll notice that his does not have an external heel counter. Instead, it's fully internal, and he seems to have a completely different sole plate and stud pattern that's not too far off of this, but it is entirely conical studs, which again would make sense because even when he was wearing Mercurial Vapor 13 Elites, his last Nike model, he didn't wear the FG stud pattern, he wore the AG Pro one, which too had conical studs. So that's clearly just a preference of his, although again, it's worth noting that he doesn't actually wear this exact boot. Now, as you can see, I have not swapped out the stock black laces because I kind of feel like the whole black and white look of this initial Neymar signature colorway is kind of the whole point, but I will be wearing them with some PSG navy blue Pure Grip socks for obvious reasons. And for those that have never heard of Pure Grip socks, this is my own brand of grip socks that are the most affordable ones on the market. In comparison to some of the other brands out there, you can actually get 3 pairs of Pure Grip socks for less than 1 pair of the competition. They retail for $14.99 and are available in 9 different colorways at puregripsocks.com. There'll be a link down below in the description, so if you're interested in some for yourself, again, it is puregripsocks.com. Be sure to go ahead and check it out. On feet, the King Platinums are really comfortable, although that shouldn't be much of a surprise considering that it's a very pure leather upper. Like most leather boots, they're soft and flexible out of the box. These ones are quite thin, which means that the break-in time is pretty minimal, but like any leather boot, as you wear them in, the material softens up that much more and kind of stretches to the shape of your foot, giving you this very custom fit. And I think a lot of people who are going to be trying leather boots for the first time, after a few weeks of wearing these, are going to be really surprised at not only how well they fit, but how comfortable they are compared to the football boots that they have been wearing that, of course, haven't been made out of leather. There's a reason why leather boots have stuck around for all these years. Nothing feels quite like this material. As far as overall fit and shape is concerned, as the silhouette would suggest, it does have a very speed boot-esque fit to it, meaning that there's not a lot of extra volume, there's not a ton of extra width. It wraps your foot very closely, which again, I think is what a lot of people want from a football boot in general. In 2020, they don't want something bulky or sloppy on their feet, and the King Platinum has a really nice shape to it. If you're coming from, say, a pair of Mercurials, if you're a diehard Neymar fan, the fit of this boot, while not quite as tight or as structured as Mercurials, is going to be at least somewhat similar. So as long as you don't have super wide feet, these are going to fit most people really snug, which I think is what you're probably looking for. And then as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So if you're looking to order a pair for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So in conclusion, is the Puma King Platinum a great, nay, an excellent pair of football boots? And the answer to that question is 100% yes. In fact, it has been a really good pair of football boots for almost 1.5 years now. It just took an endorsement deal for people to realize that. So while I'm still not convinced that leather football boots are going to be making a major comeback anytime soon, I think if this Neymar-Puma partnership has inspired you to try a Puma King Platinum and wear a leather football boot for the first time ever, that can only be a good thing for the future of leather football boots, something that I'm personally a big fan of. And as an example of how good a modern leather football boot can be, especially at the $200 price point, this is one of the very best options currently on the market. The Puma King Platinum is a great football boot, but it always has been. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you're interested in a pair of King Platinums for yourself, not necessarily in this colorway, you can click the first link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website, where you'll find buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes, where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal retail price. If you have any questions, as always, leave them down below in the comment section and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you. If you aren't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching and we'll see you in the next one.